everyone. Welcome to join our COXO free public webinar again. This is Chess. We are glad to invite Dr. Sourav from England to talk about the 3D Endodontics Demystified. By the way, this is a COXO free public webinar. So we prepare a certificate for dentists who join our course. The first step, follow and like the COXO page. The second, leave your comment or question below the live video. At the end of the live, we will share the form link to the comment below the live video. Please open the link and fill the form and submit to apply for the certificate. About 3 days or done, in 5 days, you will receive the PDF certificate in your mail. Please note the form application can be filled only one time and be available from only 5 hours after the lecture. 5 hours later, the application channel will be closed. After that, we will not accept any application. Please fill the form as soon as possible after webinar. The form can be no modified. Please make sure the information you leave is correct. Okay, so now it's time is our Indian dealer's time. He introduced the COXO agent. How are you, Andy? How are you?
Hello.
Hello. Yes. Please share your complete information to us.
Yes. Can you share my screen, please? You have to share my screen, Chase.
I can hear you. Please share your information.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So we are from Sarvamangal, and we are associated with COXO for last from 2007 onwards. So welcome to all eminent dentists for Sarvamangal COXO global webinars. We are so we are basically based in Maharashtra, and Saramangal is the region behind this, the brand of Saramangal Group. We are always knowing good to all, proactive, innovative, entrepreneurial, and with integrity and dignity. That is what our motto is. Saramangal Group consists of Saramangal Healthcare Private Limited, Saramangal Enterprises, Acumen Services, Saramangal Healthcare Innovations, Indo, that is SHI, and Dr. B. N. Kulkarni Charitable Trust. We operate with a very organized structure with board of directors, with report then MD and CEO reports to the director board, and we have finance, marketing division, dental materials division, dental equipment division, and research and development division. Our vision is to build a stronger dental community prepared for all the future challenges, to provide the dental practitioners with the equipment that keeps them ahead, optimizing treatment workflow, creating platform for modern techniques and patient communication. Saramangal will constantly work to meet and exceed the expectations of our customers. Saramangal means effective solutions for dental practices and clinics. Our goal is to find new ways to offering something better than the best and providing customers with the ultimate smile that lasts long. Now with the Sarvamangal COXO, together we have a vision to become respectable dental alliance. So we have been together for long period, and as sales network in 158 countries of COXO, we are representing COXO in India. COXO is from 2003 and Sarvamangal since 2000. Our association is growing strong from 2007. We provide for sales of COXO classic equipment with backup service, with the best service ensuring the dentist to have peace of mind in usage of all COXO equipment. COXO equipment consists of many products. that is starting with NiTi files. We have control memory NiTi files with one of the highest torque resistance. We have special offers on that. Then we are launching shortly. We'll be launching C Smart Pilot. We also have special offers on C Smart iPro and C Smart Mini AP. These are our trendsetter endomotor with apex locators. We have curing light with caries detector. This is very highly appreciated in India. We have recently launched and already have many customers who are using it. We have apex locator from COXO C root I, which is having a special feature which we can see that apex locator readings are exactly similar to JMorita. Then we are having obturation systems. These are one of the best obturation systems available in the world. C-fill, we have complete unit. C-fill down pack you can have separately, or C-fill backfill also you can have separately. One of the very favorite products is electric motor C Puma. C Puma, we will be shortly launching a new model C Puma Master, which will have endomotor also along with electric motor. We have caries detector, which will give you a very good indication of caries, intracanal or otherwise. Then we have alginate mixers. We have implant motors, two models. One is C-Seller Pro and another is C-Seller Plus. So we are one is fiber optic, one is non-fiber optic. Then we are very much available all the time. As our logo suggests, just a call and that's all what you need to do. We are available on email, WhatsApp, WeChat, mobile phones. Always we are online. You can always connect with Saromangal at hotmail.com or saromangalsales@gmail.com. Any queries, we will be responding within 12 hours and we will suggest you a permanent solution in 24 hours. We have company trained, COXO trained engineers working with us. Thank you. We are we are Saromangal. You can connect with us at 9823048686. So Chess, over to you again.
Okay, thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
Okay, now it's time for our webinar.
Yeah.
Hello. Hello. Hello, Dr. Herbert.
Should I
Hello,
share the
Dr.
screen?
Saurav.
Hi.
Yes, I can see. You have to share
Okay,
this.
thank you, Dr. Sourav. Take time to share our good experience for our dentist friend. Let's looking forward in nice sharing. And you might be our dentist friend need to comment our video during the course. Then you can have the chance to get our gift. So now it's time for Dr. Sourav to begin this time the course.
Okay. So good afternoon, all. I would like to thank COXO to have me here with you all. I'll be presenting a webinar on this topic, Beyond the White Lines. We'll be demystifying the endodontics, the 3D endodontics, which is we think what we mean by 3D endodontics. I will start my presentation in the memory of my parents and the roadmap. We'll be discussing today the concept and the path to 3D endodontics, the 3D cleaning, and 3D obturation technique. Now, the three-dimensional aspect of the root canal system is nothing new. So, since how long we knew about this, you'll be amazed to know that the first idea of this 3D anatomy of the root canal system was studied by Alfred Geisy in 1892. It's quite old. Then Perswick in 1901, he also studied this 3D images. You can see the 3D structure of the root canal system there. And then Fisher in 1907, you can see the interconnections among the canals there. And Dewey in 1916, he also tried to simulate the the 3D structure of the root canal system. Hess, in 1917, he injected dye and he created this 3D models of the root canal system. So it's quite old. Since over 100 years we have known this, and this is a micro CT construction of the root canal anatomy. It's quite recent. In 2018 in Brazilian journal it has been published. Here also you can see this interconnections, the anastomosis and the what do you call the fins, and the interconnections between the main canals. So what we can appreciate here is the canal is not a single entity from orifice to the apex. Rather, it is quite branching, and a lot of minute structures go out from it. So it is very important to understand this 3D anatomy of this root canal system. So the success mantra is should have a great aim. We should acquire knowledge continuously. We should do hard work and persevere and succeed. That are the words of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Really very like motivating words. So I'm Dr. Sauro Banerjee from Jamshedpur, India. I'm practicing microendodontics and restorative dentistry exclusively, almost over 2 decades now. I have a training center at Jamshedpur where we train doctors in microscope enhanced dentistry and endodontics under the name of EndoConcept program. Now, we have been knowing this 3D anatomy of the root canal system, but the first efforts to clean this 3D anatomy effectively to aid in adequate irrigation and obturation and further instrumentation of the canal was first advocated by Professor Herbert Schilder. So what he did is he devised a technique of instrumentation that would create a tapered shape in the root canal system so that it aids in irrigation, obturations, prevent mishaps and flare-ups by auguring the debris from the coronal end and preventing packing of the drainage down. So that is the first initiative that was taken. Now, this is a wonderful study. You can see beautifully filled canals there. Nice wide obturations can be seen. Here also we can see that a good nice obturation, nicely sitting crown and everything. But what is this? This is a kind of radiolucency we can make out. Here also we can see a radiolucency. So if so nice obturations were there, nicely sitting crown was also there, why did it fail? Why did it fail? So this is from one of the articles, that another look at the root canal instrumentation by William Whitley. So these kind of lesions there, after being so nice obturations in the canal, raises a question that what made this canals or this tooth to fail. So you have to take a look. The same tooth was sectioned from 1 millimeter from the apex, from 1 millimeter from the apex, the distal root, the mesial root, and 3 millimeter from the apex, and the lateral incisor again from 1 millimeter from the apex. Now what we can see here is the gutta perca is there, and you can make out a lot of debris there. The isthmus was not attended. Here also you can make out this gutta perca. Here it's somewhat of irregular shaped canal, and the gutta perca is on one end of the canal there. Here also you can see a oval shaped canal, and the gutta perca there is to one end of the complete system. Here also you can see the canal is somewhere and the gutta perca is somewhere. So something is happening there. Now what all things are happening? What we can make out of this? The presence of these necrotic tissues and unattended isthmus clearly says that the cleaning was not done. Proper debridement was not done. And this pushing of the gutta perca. Now, gutta perca follows the same path that our file follows. So where our file will be cleaning, gutta perca will take the same course. So file got transported there. In the apical part, we are very sure that if you are using tapered files, they'll be very steep and they'll have a lot of restoring forces, and it will definitely create some amount of transportation in the apical end. And this is the result of the transportation. You can see the gutta perca to one end. The file also took the same end. It transported the canal to one side, and the actual canal remained unattended, lodged with enough number of amount of debris. Here also we can see the same thing. So improper instrumentation, inadequate cleaning, and obviously if you don't clean, we will not be able to fill. Now, this is a very good case, a case that came to me. The person got root canal treatment done some few months ago, and they came with that. They were saying that they were having a lot of swelling there. So what we did, we took an X-ray and we could make out this lot of bone loss there. And when we pulled out this tooth and sectioned it, this was the thing that we came out. The gutta percha was there, but this lot of unattended canal anatomy was not even attended, not even cleaned. So we can see the necrotic tissues and unattended parts of the root canal system. Now, this image is from Marco Versarini, a popular, from one of his popular articles. Now, what we see, this red line indicates the route that the files take, and these green portions are the interconnections, and those were not touched by the file. Here also we can see the red zone states the path that was taken by the file, and the green zone are the interconnections that were not attended by the file. So this is a very amazing inference we can draw. The shape of the file and that of the canal don't match. We have to understand that. Now the files are of round cross sections, mostly not of cross sections. They clean in a round portion of the canal, but your canal shape is not round. They are oval, elliptical. You can see here it is kind of keyhole shaped thing. So the file has taken the wider portion of the canal, and the rest of the thing remain unattended. We only fill the areas where we clean. So we haven't cleaned there, so we couldn't fill there. So it is important take home point. Now, what you take out of the canal is more important than what you put inside. Now, if this was at least cleaned but left unfilled, though it should not be, at least this wouldn't have failed so quickly. And the only precondition to 3D filling is a 3D debridement. So if you want to fill all these places with our gutta percha like a 3D filling, we need, like, this portion should be cleaned first. So that is very important. So now we have a lot of strategies and to clean, to shape the canal, to clean, there is little strategies to clean and seal the canal. Like we have strategy, we have a lot of files. Every day some new file design, new file color, gold and whatnot, purple, blue, many files, yellow, anything is coming. I don't say the files are not important. The file is important, new metallurgy is important, new design is important. Obviously that is important, but that is not the every sole thing. So that makes us a lot of confusion among the new dentists. They are coming up. They think like files are important. So it is very confusing. And that leads to this, what we call, it has become more of philodontics than endodontics basically. So we have to understand that files are the not only things that are needed for a good endodontic treatment. Files are of course important, but they are important for only their intended role. A file doesn't treat your canal. A file doesn't attend the biologic requirement of the tooth. So that has to be understood very much. So this raises this question, where we are heading and what we should do. Now, a study was done by Engel and Beveridge, and it was found that 50% of the canal wall remains untouched with the file. Even in the previous images, we could make out that the file only attended the most wider portion of the canal. The rest all remain unattended. Now, all these things still now raises three big questions. How much time we devote to shaping? How much time we allot for irrigation? And how can you obturate the things? So we'll be addressing these three questions in detail in course of our presentation. Now, here also we can see the minor anatomy is there in the apical part. And do you think these anatomies will be attended by the files? Of course not. We need a strategy to clean this minor anatomies. Also, here you can see a classification by Kim of the isthmuses. You can see these are the wider portion of the canal, those will be attended by the file. In C anatomy, these portions will be attended by the file. Here also we can expect this portion of the canal only to be attended by the file. Here this one, this one, this one, and this one. But this rest tiny anatomies or the narrow connections are not expected to be dealt with a file. So what role our files play? Then what is the role of the files? We have to understand. Files are there only to make a space for your irrigation. So when you are filing this wider portion of the canal, definitely you are taking out a big chunk of the neck infected tissues and the pulp tissues out. That is the first role of the file. Second, you shape these portions, wider portions, to greater extent so that you can aid in proper irrigation and irrigant activation on the first go. And second, you can do your obturation satisfactorily. So that is the role of the files. Your files are there to make space for irrigation and subsequent effective obturation of the canals. So our first question is answered, like what is the role of the files? We have a 3-point strategy when you're dealing with the root canal system. First is shaping. We do with the files, we debride, we make space for the irrigant and for obturation, that is the mechanical goal is attended. Second is irrigation. We remove the smear layer, we remove the accumulated hard tissue debris, disrupt the biofilm, and disinfect the canal. That is the most important biology goal of the canal. And then last is obturation. Now, what we have cleaned, what all we have removed from the canal, what all the spaces we have created inside the root canal, we should fill them adequately. So that is the role of obturation in the last go. Now, this is another one important aspect when we are dealing with the root canal system, like what should be the apical size. This is very important. Now, that is the second part of the confusion. First is what files to use and so much of confusion with the files. Second is what should be the size. Now, there are various literatures that study and evidences that suggest that you should at least have a 30 numbers like 3002 or 3004 size, so that you can do your effective irrigation and irrigant activation. That is very important. Now, we have to see that we don't increase the taper beyond 4, as because when you increase the taper beyond 4, your stiffness of the file rises and you create a lot of mishaps down there in the apical critical area. So this is important that you should not increase the taper. The taper should be maximum 4. When you are increasing the tip size, the taper should not be more. The taper should be as less as possible. In this case, maybe 2% or maybe 4% according to the requirement and anatomy of the canal. So this is a popular article that says, now this is in relation to the root end surgeries basically, but here this says that in the apical last 3 millimeters, you have the most of the ramifications and the minor anatomies and whatnot in the canal. So that is the critical portion. Whenever we are doing a root canal treatment, the last 3 millimeters or 4 millimeters are the most critical portion. We have to think how to address that critical area. So when in the orthograde first attempted root canal treatment, we are unable to deal with this critical area, that results us in surgical endodontics, where again we remove in the retrograde aspect, we remove this apical 3 millimeters. So we have to understand that the apical 3 millimeters is most important. How much you do in the coronal portion, unless and until we can do an effective irrigation and cleaning in the apical 3 millimeters, 3 or 4 millimeters, our biology goal will not be achieved. So many studies say that a size of 30 is necessary, as because you have to put your 30 gauge or 27 gauge needle in the canal till 1 or 2 millimeters of the working length. So you should have at least 30 number size. There are a lot of articles that advocate for this one. So now we have to see like what are the various factors. Now, one factor we say that the size of the apical preparation should be at least 3002 or 3004 at least for effective irrigation. There are many other factors. The volume of the irrigant is again important. We have to use lots of volume of irrigant so that we can do frequent replenishments to clean more and more. Then you have the contact time. Throughout the shaping period, keep your canal soaked with the irrigants. So that will enhance the contact time with the tissues and enhance their dissolution and removal. Temperature, it is already proved that increasing the temperature of your irrigant increases the increases the dissolution power or effectiveness of your irrigants. surface tension, viscosity, and flow is very important. So the canal, the apical anatomies are so small anatomies, they have a lot of surface tension there. So if your fluid is very viscous or the surface tension is high, it will not flow. So the surface tension, there are irrigants added with surfactants to bring down the surface tension so that the flow of the irrigant is better in the thin anatomies. Now, depth of penetration of the needle is very important. As I already said, you have to be within 1 or 2 millimeters of the working length so that you deposit your irrigant at the most critical area, that is apical 3 millimeters of your root canal system. Activation and versus agitation. Now, this is very important. Activation is possible only with the ultrasonics. When you're using ultrasonics, activation of the irrigant happens. Agitation is something different. Whatever other mechanical device you are using, even you can use a most simple thing, that is, you can take your master cone, put the irrigants there and do in and out movement with your master cone. That is the most simplest form of mechanical agitation. So whatever other devices you use, so those are just agitation of your irrigant. It is not activation. Activation actually chemically activates your irrigant. They cause a COXO streaming and impulsion happens, and that really disrupts the biofilm and the smear layer, and it is accumulated hard tissue debris and all those things, and it is way ahead of activation. So you have to understand what is the difference between an activation and agitation. Concentration of the fluid, though it is said that a 3% concentration of sodium hypochlorite is equally effective. You don't have to go to 5%, but 3% activation, 3% of your sodium hypochlorite and 17% of your EDTA should do the job. Removal of the smear layer is very, very important. We'll come to that in detail a slide or two later. So smear layer is such a thing that actually protects the penetration of your sodium hypochlorite. Now, sodium hypochlorite is indispensable irrigant when you talk about the root canal irrigation, but it has its limitation that it is not effective against the smear layer. So the smear layer has to be removed so that the sodium hypochlorite can become effective. So removal of the smear layer happens by use of a chelating agent and by use of activating devices like ultrasonics and by use of negative pressure irrigation. We'll come to that in detail. Now, method of delivery to reduce the vapor lock. Now, vapor lock is a well understood complication that happens when you do the syringe irrigation and the fluid doesn't flow somewhere beyond the needle. So that has to manage if you want to do a good irrigation and disinfection. Frequency of exchange is again important. Whatever irrigant you use, you have to replenish it every 30 seconds. That is very, very important. Flow rate is again important. ml in 15 seconds. 1 ml 15 seconds should be the standard flow rate that maintains laminar flow there. Now, few takeaways regarding irrigation. The irrigant doesn't flow more than 1 to 2 millimeter past the needle tip. Hence, it should be placed at 1 to 2 millimeter of the working length. Second is the tip of the needle should be placed within 1 to 2 mm of the electronic working length for the same reason. And it shows that the increasing taper beyond 4% marginally increases the effectiveness of irrigation, rather creating chances of errors and loss of radicular dentate. Hence, I said that increasing the tip size is fine, but not the taper. And preparation sizes less than 30 may prevent irrigant needle to be positioned within 1 to 2 millimeter of the working length and do effective cleaning in the critical apical area. Now, when we say about the smear layer, it is composed of actually two layers. It is the smear layer and the smear plug. Now, this is very, very important, and we can see this. This is tenaciously attached. Actually, we can see here. Now, this is the canal wall. When you do filing, the smear layer actually gets packed in the tubules, dentinal tubules and minor anatomies, and it forms a plug. So you have to deal with two things now. One is the smear layer that is on the surface of the dentine or the wall, and then that has gone inside the tubules and the minor anatomies. So it is very important. Now, how we remove the smear layer and smear plug is by activation and use of chelation. The first is you have to place EDTA or any other chelate inside the canal and activate it with ultrasonics. Also, the use of negative pressure irrigation helps in removing this smear layer. Now, unless we deal with this smear layer, we will not be able to manage the biofilm that is actually protected by the smear layer. So to make our hypochlorite act on the difficult biofilm, we have to remove the smear layer first. That is very, very important. Now, this is again the second thing we said, the vapor lock. Now, this is how the vapor lock happens. So when you place the needle, you push the irrigants, the hypochlorite comes in contact with the collagen, and you see the gases are formed. These gases will get trapped here and will prevent the flow of the irrigant beyond this level. So this critical area remains unattended. So it is a well-known fact. So how to deal with it? Using side-vented needles, frequent in and out movement of your needle. So these will prevent, and the flow rate is also again important. But we have seen that the best way to eliminate vapor lock is by using negative pressure irrigation. Ways to remove the smear layer, already said, you have to use chelation along with ultrasonic activation. So ultrasonic activation and chelation will disrupt the smear layer, and after that also you can use negative pressure irrigation where the irrigants are pulled out. It's like they are pulled in through the orifice and they are pulled out from the apical region. They are suctioned actually. So that creates enough amount of shear force, or that is more than the pull out strength of the smear layer. So it will just tear the smear layer away from the dentinal wall and it will be removed. Even ultrasonics is a good way to remove the smear layer. So we have three ways. You have activation, you have continuous negative pressure irrigation and evacuation, and continuous chelation. So these things will actually help in removal of the smear layer. And once the smear layer is removed, the biofilm is exposed and your hypochlorite will act on the biofilm and will disrupt it. Now, irrigants, when we say, we have two categories of irrigants. You have sodium hypochlorite and EDTA, which you have to use, means one should not get combined with the other, as because EDTA immediately inactivates sodium hypochlorite. Whereas you have a single step irrigation solution, that is etidronic acid and sodium hypochlorite. So etidronic acid is a mild chelating agent that conditions the dentin, and it can be combined with hypo irrespective of having no effect on the concentration or the efficacy of the hypo. So these things could be combined and used as a single step solution. And you have the normal saline or distilled water to use as a flushing agent. So you need this flushing agent between these two irrigants. If you are following sodium hypochlorite and EDTA, you have to use the flushing agent between every time you replenish. Whereas here you don't need the flushing agent, only you need it in the final go. So you save a lot of time if you're using single step irrigation solution. Now we'll see the irrigation protocol. So irrigation protocol with sodium hypo and EDTA is initially for negotiation, you can use EDTA gel or liquid. Then you go on using sodium hypochlorite with frequent replenishment and with intermittent use of EDTA, as because when you use sodium hypochlorite, whenever the file is going inside the canal, it will create smear layer. And we know hypo will not deal with the smear layer. So to prevent the smear layer to form more and more and pack the minor anatomies and the tubules, you have to use in between EDTA. So before you have to use EDTA, then you let it there for 30 seconds and activate it for 30 seconds, then flush out with normal saline, as because EDTA should not combine with the next replenishment of hypo that you use. So this is the thing you have to follow, and then the final rinse with normal saline or EDTA. Now, if you are using hypoanhydronic acid, that is a single step irrigation solution, there what you can do is initial negotiation with EDTA gel or liquid as usual. Then you can use the single step solution throughout your shaping phase without any flushing out, without any other thing except for replenishment of the same solution every 30 seconds. So you save time in that, not doing the flushing again and again. And once you finish your shaping, you can just give a final rinse with normal saline and distilled water. Now we come to the third phase. We have talked about the shaping phase. We have talked about the irrigation phase. Now we have understood how the files, what is the importance of files, and how we should create a shape for proper debridement and the irrigation protocol. Now the final thing is, once we have done all things correctly, now we should seal the entire space that we have cleaned with a proper seal, that comes with obturation. Now this is again a very interesting study. We have come from Engel and Beveridge. 58% of the endodontic failures can be attributed to incomplete obturation of the root canals. So we already know that there are enough amount of failures happening due to improper coronal seal, but there is also a major chunk of failure that is happening as because you don't fill the canals completely. And if you cannot fill the canals once you have not cleaned the canals. So cleaning is again very important. So if you don't, as we have seen in the previous slides also, where we couldn't clean the space, we couldn't fill it. So you have to clean the space properly to fill it properly for giving a good life to the treated tooth. Now, before we start our obturation, we need sealers, and we know we have 4 categories of sealers: eugenol based, resin based, calcium hydroxide based, and bioceramics. So nowadays, most of the sealers that are used is either resin based or the bioceramic based. In resin based also, most of the epoxy resin based sealers are used that actually truly bond to the dentin collagen, whereas bioceramics bond with the dentin in hydroxyapatite crystal-like formation. They actually bond. So these two are true bonding to the dentin. So that is very important, and that is the same reason that we use these two base sealers mostly. Now we'll see like what are the different obturation techniques we have. We have lateral condensation, which we call the cold lateral condensation. We have ultrasonic guided loop lateral condensation. We have warm lateral condensation. Now for warm lateral condensation is just a bit of modification from the conventional cold lateral condensation. You have vertical compaction in warm vertical compaction and continuous wave of compaction. This is basically the 3D obturation. You have thermoplasticized Gutta-percha technique, where you use just this backfill gun to fill the canal space. You have thermomechanical compaction suggested by Max Perrin. Screwing, again we use only the backfill gun for the technique. You have carrier-based techniques, and then we have single cone technique, where the conventional single cone technique is actually not recommended, but again with bioceramics it is fine. Now before we start with the obturation, we have to understand a very important step, that is a cone fit. So unless and until your cone fits properly inside the canal, you cannot do a warm vertical or continuous wave of compaction, as because when you pull out your plugger, the entire Gutta-percha may come out. So the true tuck back is very essential. And what is true tuck back? It is true apical tuck back, or actually true apical lateral tuck back, where when you place your Gutta-percha, the walls of the Gutta-percha in the apical portion, apical few millimeters, will actually bind to the canal snugly and will create a resistance when you pull out, when you try to remove the Gutta-percha. So that is very important. And again, your cone fit technique should be dried in a moist canal. Your canal should not be absolutely dry when you are doing the cone fit technique. So for cone fit technique, your canals should have some amount of moisture. And this happens when you use a greater type of file for preparation and you use the same corresponding Gutta-percha. So what happens? It seems to be quite closely filling the canal, there, but here you have a lot of spaces in the apical. So this is not a true tuck back. It is rather a taper lock or a false tuck back. This will not result in any good obturation in the apical critical area. So true lateral truck back is actually your rest of the canal, the cone will be free. Only in apical portion it will have a good amount of engagement with the file. Now, many times we need to modify or resize our cones. So in that case, it is very important to remember that we should not use a scissors to do that. When you use the scissors, they actually slice. The scissors, two blades slide on one another, and you may have some projections like that. So these projection will actually interfere with your tuck back. So you should always, whenever you want to resize your cones, it is better to use a blade, a simple fresh BB blade you can use, or you can use also the GP adjusters or the snippers. Now, before we proceed with obturation, we have to actually prepare our canals to accept the obturations. It is basically cleaning the canals finally. The one important thing is that no amount of irrigants should remain in the canal or in the canal spaces before you proceed with your obturation. So the best way is used to normal saline or distilled water. Lot of normal salines and distilled water should be flushed in the canals. It is better to activate and agitate that inside the canal with your ultrasonic, sonic devices, whatever you have, and clean them to your absolute satisfaction. That is very, very important. So this is there. You should disinfect your gutta perca in either hypochlorite or chlorhexidine, and finally, before taking them into the canal, you should wipe them with alcohol. Cone fit and tuck back we have already discussed. Aspirate and dry the canals, and then go proceed with your obturation. Now, when it comes to the cold lateral obturation or cold lateral compaction, it is very simple. You need only this hand pluggers for that. You have to check your hand plugger so that it fits to about 1 to 2 millimeters of the working length. You take your master cone coated with your sealer. Now you take your hand plugger, compact it, go on putting accessory cones and go on packing it. So it has lot of drawbacks. Basically, that is the reason it is not recommended. Even though you do a lot of packing, the force that you put really matters. It may create micro cracks inside the finer, like the feeble or the weaker apical portion of the tooth. Also, it is seen that there are a lot of voids that are remaining between the gutta perca. So it is not considered to be an ideal technique. So the best thing what we can do is we can do a warm lateral compaction. Just follow the same cold lateral compaction technique till wherever you can maximum pack your cones in the low cold lateral category. Then use your down pack device at 180 degrees centigrade. Activate to 180 degrees centigrade, place it in the canal, and just your gutta percas get softened and they moves out. And then you can go on packing one and one, and with your hand pluggers, you can create more spaces and go on packing. So it really works. It is far better compared to following the cold lateral compaction. So here what you have to remember is first go the same way as your cold lateral compaction. Then when you are done with your cold lateral compaction, take your down pack device, adjust the heat at 180 degrees centigrade, put it there till as far as it go. Ideally, it should grow within 4 to 5 millimeters of your working length. So you should not activate the device for more than 5 seconds at a go. That is very, very important. So once you have gone down till there, wait for 10 seconds. Just try to unwind the tip from the rest of the gutta perca and slowly pull it out. You should not reheat again while pulling out. If you reheat again, it will take out the gutta perca and come out along with it. So it is very different. 180 degrees centigrade, let it cool down. Just try to disengage from the gutta percas and just slowly pull it out. Then again you can pack more gutta percas and go with hand pluggers and then again heat. So you can just follow that technique. So as many cones as you can pack. Now we come to the most important discussion of today, that is the warm vertical compaction or the 3D obturation technique. Now here we use two techniques, that is warm vertical compaction, that is a Schilder's technique, or the incremental packing, and continuous wave of compaction suggested by Buchanan, that is one-step packing. So for this you need the down pack device. For the entire warm vertical compaction and continuous wave of compaction, you need only the down pack, the C-fill device. So What we do here is, first is the warm vertical compaction technique. Here, first thing is, what you have to do, you just take your master cone, coat it with sealer, place it in the canal. After that, you take your downpack seal device and you sever the gutter pucker at the orifice level. That is the first thing. Then take your suitable hand plugger and just level that part at the orifice level. Then again, you take your seal device, place it on the gutter pucker and heat it. So it goes about 1 to 2 millimeters inside the gutter pucker. It sinks. So you have to stop there for 10 seconds. Give a small separation burst of 1 second and pull it out. So it comes out with about 1 or 2 millimeter of gutter pucker sticking to this device. It will come out. After that comes out, is again use your hand pluggers to level it. Again, you take the seal device, put it, activate it, 1 or 2 millimeters sinking, stop, you take it out, then again you take your hand plugger. So you go on doing that till you are within 4 millimeters of this working length. So when you are within 4 millimeters of the working length, so the study says that the gutter pucker heats to about 2 to 3 millimeters beyond the heating that you have applied. So when you are hitting the gutter pucker at the level of 4 millimeters, so it will get heated just 1 millimeter less than your working length. So the gutter pucker will get soft. So when you take your plugger and plug it, the softened gutter pucker will flow all the ramifications and it will fill them. So that is the objective. So you have to go step by step till you reach 4 or say 5 millimeters of your working length. So that is how you create a 3D seal in the apical 4 or 5 millimeters. That is very important. That is considered to be the critical zone. Now the rest of the space you fill it with your backfill gun. Backfill gun. We'll show that later in the presentation. Now, continuous wave of compaction is a technique where what you do is you have to just check your pluggers first. You have 2 pluggers supplied with your downpack device. So you take your plugger, they are soft, they take the curvature of the canal. So just pre-bend them as needed and check their fit till 4 to 5 millimeter of the working length. That is very important. You have to check the fit. They should not touch the canal wall. They should just be free at 4 to 5 millimeters of the working length. So that is the first thing, pre-fitting your vertical pluggers. Then what you do is, when you place your gutter pucker cone, the master cone, first thing what you do is you sever it at the orifice level. Then you take your downpack device, the seal device, you heat it to 200 degrees centigrade, place the tip here first, then activate the switch. Now, when you are activating the switch, it is very important that you have to go the full length till 4 to 5 millimeters of the working length in one go. That is in 5 seconds. Suppose you do not reach the desired working length, that is 4 to 5 millimeters short of the working length, within 5 seconds, you have to stop wherever you have reached at 5 seconds. So let it cool for 10 seconds, reactivate it for another whatever 5 seconds, or when you reach your expected working length, that is 4 to 5 millimeters short of the working length, whichever is earlier. So till then, you may need 1 burst or you may need 2 bursts. But in any case, you should not heat the plugger for more than 5 seconds at a go. It may cause severe periodontal damage. So that is very, very important. So what we do is you place it at the orifice level, activate it, and you will see it will go on sinking slowly. It will just sink. So when you reach your working, your stopper is adjusted here. As you reach, you will come to know you have to stop. Now, second, what you do is, now as the tip reach within the 4 millimeter of the working length, stop heating and maintain enough pressure. Now you see, you can see the stopper here. So we come to know that we have reached our desired working length, which is actually 4 to 5 millimeters short of the working length. So what we have to do is we have to maintain enough pressure to compensate for the shrinkage of the gutter pucker. Again, this is very important. Gutter pucker shrinks. When you heat it, it expands, but it then shrinks. So when it is shrinking, you have to maintain enough pressure so that it compensates for the shrinking. This will go on for 10 seconds. So you have to be there for 10 seconds. After that, you reheat the plugger once for 1 full second. That is also known as separation burst. So you heat it for 1 full second, separation burst, and immediately pull it out with a snap. So it comes out with all this Gatapaka coronal to this level, leaving this apical portion or the apical plug in place. So this is how it is done. So separation burst, pull it out, you have this, and immediately what you should do, as you can see, this remains uneven. Immediately you should take your hand pluggers and even it out before it softens, and also to put some pressure, because you have activated for 1 second, some amount of heating has happened. To compensate for the shrinkage, you should immediately place a hand plugger and wait for about 10 seconds there. Now, at this stage, when you are done, if you are going for post and core, your post space is ready. You don't have to prepare the post space anymore. Whatever post fits this canal, you can go on preparing or conditioning the canal wall and go for your post and core procedure. But if you are not going for post and core, you want to fill this back, this is the device you need, that C-fill backfill device. Now this comes with 2 tips, 23 and 25 gauge. What you have to do is you have to put this tip deep inside till here. At 200 degrees centigrade, you have to activate, and a pellet is put from there, and the plunger goes inside, and molten Gatapaka will come out slowly. You have to incrementally 2 to 3 millimeters of increment you have to put. Take out your device, take your hand pluggers, condense them nicely. Then again, take your device, put 2-3 millimeters of increment and pack them with this one till you reach the orifice level. So that is how you do your backfilling thing. So here backfilling is important, but the most important part is this downpack thing. So downpack is actually the 3-dimensional root canal filling that happens. So whatever anatomies you feel, these all happens when you are doing the downpacking. Backfilling is just to fill this left out portion of the canal coronal portion. Now, when you're following this technique of obturation, the 3D obturation technique, down the backfill and the downpack technique, you have to consider few anatomic variations that are there. If you fail to appreciate these anatomic variations, your obturations may be not proper. So what you have to see is, there are few canals which are very wide, oval canals. So in those canals, to create enough hydraulics with your downpack device, a single cone may not create enough hydraulics. So in that case, you can use 2 or more cones one go. Just try to cold pack them and then go along with your downpack device to create enough amount of hydraulics so that the apical area is filled completely. Now in type 2 canals, like where you have anatomies like this, what you have to do is, if this split is quite in the apical part, it's not an issue. But if it is happening in the midroot part, you have to fill one canal first and then another canal first. In that case, what you have to do is you have to close the patency of one canal with a file, and you have to close your Gatapaka in the another canal. You have to sever the Gatapaka at the split level under magnification, and then again go with the obturation of the other canal. This is file and cold technique, it is as is known as. Now in class 5 deep split things, it is not an issue, but if it is at the split is at the midroot level, then it is a problem. So these are the few variations we have to keep in mind when we are dealing with the 3D obturation technique. Now here we can see a class 2 obturation. These are my cases. So this is how. Now if we just ignore this confluence here, now this one happened quite ahead. It was almost 3 or 4 millimeters from there. So what we did, we put a cone on the straight. The mesolingual one was more straighter. So what we did, we put a cone in the mesolingual one. We also put a cone in the mesiobuccal one, along with a file there by the side of it to pack it nicely. So we did the down packing for this one. So when you completed the down packing, After that, we did the down packing of the mesiobuccal one. So here the most critical canal for me is the mesiolingual one. And to maintain the hydraulics, we have to put a cone and a file there to just maintain the hydraulics. So when we push the when we place the heated instrument and try to pack down, it should not escape from there. So we need to close it. That is to maintain the hydraulics. Now here you can see a dip split case class 5. So this was not an issue, as because it was there almost at the apical end, maybe 1 or 2 millimeters. So just down packing the main canal has filled it. So this is what you can see. So these considerations are again very important. Now we'll see a small video on how to down pack using this CFIL device. You're securing it at the orifice level first, then again putting sealer. If this sealer should be as less as possible, your objective is to fill the canals with gutta perca, and then securing it again at the orifice level. Now the down packing starts. You see in one row. So that was to demonstrate how we are doing. So we can see here, just want to show you this one thing there. Now this is how the down packing happens. You can make out that gutta perca there down deep in the canal, and the tip has come out, the heat carrier has come out with the rest of the coronal part of the GP. Now this portion we actually fill with the backfill gun. So you can make out it easily. Also, now this is to show that how the tip comes out with the coronal portion of the gutta perca sticking to it. So this is a very important step we have to consider. Okay, now once we finish the obturation part, next is creating a proper coronal seal. That is very, very important. So here, first of all, you have to clean the chamber of any sealer remnants. That is very important. Second is, you can see that the gutta percas are somewhere down from the orifice level. So ideally, it should be 1.5 to 2 millimeters into the orifice, not exactly at the orifice level. Now, why we do this? You can see it here also in the distal canal. So this is the mesiobuccal 2, the distobuccal, and this is the distal canal. You can see all are somewhere deeper inside the canal. Now this space is actually used to create what you call orifice plugs. Now what we do is we place composite, we do etching, we place composite to seal it completely. That creates a robust coronal seal and protects against the failure. As we know that a major reason of failure of root canal treatments are because of the failing of coronal seal. And what I prefer is once I place the coronal seal, we place it with colored composites. So now how this color composite helps, now we can see this the distal canal, palatal canal, histobuccal and mesobuccal 2 canal. So we have placed colored composite here. After that, we'll be placing a tooth colored composite restoration over that. Now, whenever we need a retreatment, so what happens is, now also I'll say you, if you're using a light, like a shorter curing light and strong light like this, so what happens is the curing time is quite less and it is stressless. That's because to cure so much you need about 1 minute of curing time. This actually reduces to about 10 seconds. So what I was saying is, now when you when you want a retreatment, the patient comes back, suppose the tooth fails and patient comes for a retreatment. So once you remove the tooth colored composite, you can easily make out the colored composite there deep inside under magnification, and it becomes very easy to address the canals. Otherwise, it is very difficult to manage. If you are placing tooth canal bonded restorations, it's very difficult for doing a retreatment case. So this happens. Now, if you are using bioceramics there inside as sealer, it is suggested that use the GIC. A light cured GIC can be used to just fill these orifices. Over that, you can do etching and you can place the composite. Composite should not be placed directly on bioceramics. We can see few clinical cases here. Now, this is one case. We can see here, this was the cavity, this is the case, and it's calcium hydroxide. Now, this is what we have done. One of the canals we have placed FRC. So you can see that this less resolution part is the FRC. Most of the time, a palatal canal, we place the FRC, and you can see the effect of the three-dimensional filling there. So the apical ramifications are beautifully filled. You can see the laterals getting filled here. This can happen only when you put a lot of hydraulic forces inside so that the guttapaka and the sealer flows. So this is how it appears, the FRC, the lateral filling, and the filling of the apical ramifications there. It is beautifully like a tree you can make out. This is so another case. So this was a case with long canals, 26 millimeter canals. Even though, again, in this case, we had to manage the tip and taper inversion thing. So we create 34 size apical preparations, but we didn't use just 4%. We have used 4% files here, and you can see at the end of three-dimensional filling, we can see the ramification getting spilled down there. So this was the case. Now this is another case, a premolar. You can see the ramification filled there. Now in this one, I wish to mention one thing, that now when you have this thing, when you are doing down packing in such canals, the tip is important. You have to pre-curve the tip and have to use it, as because the entry is not absolutely straight. You have to come a bit at an angle from there, and you do the down packing, and you can see the anatomy is getting filled there, the lateral anatomy and the apical anatomy. This is another case of Alkades driven access, and again we had to enter from there, and we could create nice hydraulics and obturation there. Now this was a case with a broken file, so we managed to bypass the broken file, and again we could create nice apical filling there in spite of the file being there. So we created enough size beside the file after bypass so that we can do effective. Though one vertical or continuous wave is not possible beyond the level of this file, but at least in one canal we had to do at this level, though we could create nice hydraulics. So in three-dimensional root canal filling, it is important that how much you do the cleaning, and second, how much you create hydraulics. So hydraulics will only work if you have cleaned it nicely. If you haven't cleaned, if you haven't debrided your canal, so your hydraulics will not work in such scenario. This is another case where you can see two fractured files there on the distal one and in the mesolingual one. Here you can see, make out the curvature of the canals there. So this is the mesolingual one, and this is the distal one. So here we can see again, we could bypass all the things, and again we could create nice hydraulics and nice filling. One vertical compaction we have done here, and you can see the filling there. and we have a good follow-up of the case. We did it in 2015, 2021, and 2021. We have the case absolutely going fine. So it is also one example that a fractured file doesn't mean that it's a failure of your case. So 2015 and that is 2021, 6 years, absolutely fine, no apical lesions, nothing. Patient is absolutely fine using the tooth adequately. So if you do a good cleaning, if you do a good obturation, your cases has to survive. Another thing, a good coronal seal is again important. This is another case with a broken file there. You can see we retrieved it actually, and after retrieval we just did this. Now this was again a confluence case. We had to use a cone and a plugger in one canal, and we did the what you call vertical compaction, creating hydraulics, and then we filled the other one. This was another case with a broken file. Actually, this was the image sent to me by my referral doctor. He actually tried to retrieve this without magnification, resulted in a perforation there. So this was the first image as forwarded to my referral doctor. Then when I removed this file, and I could appreciate that, you can appreciate that what you call the perforation there on the mid-root level. Then we removed the rest of the gutter puck and everything, cleaned the tooth nicely. We managed to shape it, and here also this is the cone fit. It's very important, a step before you do a worm vertical compaction. Now this is very important. Now in this case, the backfill device is of utmost important. You have a perforation there and you have the main canal there. If you are going with a single cone, you will just leave out this thing. You will not be able to manage it. So magnification and the backfill device both are important in this case. Now what we did, we filled this canal with the backfill device there. Like we did till this level, we did a worm vertical compaction, a continuous compaction technique. And then we severed the gutter puck at this level, and we filled this with bioceramics, and then flowed the molten gutter puck there to fill out the rest of the canal, as you can see in the subsequent images. Now this is how we fill it, and here we could seal both the canals there. This is more of the sealing till the orifice level, and this is how the clean chamber, and my favorite thing, that is placing what you call the color composite there. And this is now the backfill device is utmost important in some cases. When you have to fill the mid-root level splits, the backfill device becomes indispensable. Now this is the case with the final images. So after placing the crown, you can see how beautifully this got filled, different angles. Now this is another case with the broken file in the apical area. We could retrieve the file from there, and this is the obturation there again. So again, nice obturation there in the distal one and in the mesial one. Another case with a broken file in the mesial canal. It's a very difficult case though, less mouth opening, but we removed the file there, and these are the clean chamber before obturation. This is after the backfill, and this is the final image there. Another case, retreatment case there. So you can see a big lesion happening there, and we could beautifully do the worm vertical compaction in all the canals, and you can feel the fills there in the apical region. This is a case where you're going endo and restorative part. You can see the distal filling there, also the mesial filling there, though it is a confluence case, class 2. This is also a class 2 again. You have to consider these cases when you're doing the worm vertical compaction. You have to secure, you have to create hydraulics. It is very, very important. Here in this case, you can see the palatal anatomy nicely, the distal, like the lateral anatomies and the non-round portion of the canals getting filled because of the hydraulics there. Another case, the distal canal, you can see it is filled with, because of creating hydraulics, you can fill the what you call the lateral anatomy is there. So this is now another case here again. So you can see the anatomy is getting filled with the hydraulics there. In this case also, You can see the anatomy is getting filled with the hydraulics, the mesial anatomy, the palatal anatomy, the distal anatomy, all are having a lot of ramifications. And so again, it is very important when you are doing a warm vertical compaction, you have to have a lot of hydraulics that can be created. If you have very big canal, use additional cones, pack them first, and then use your downpack device so that you can create hydraulics there. In class 2 canal classifications, we have to use a cone or file or something to pack from the other canal and use a cone and downpack in the more straighter canal. And before all this, definitely you have to do a good amount of cleaning to clean those spaces. Now here, this is another case. You can see this anastomosis getting filled there, and you can see the distal thing. So these things are not possible if you're not following a 3D dimensional cleaning. That is, a warm vertical compaction really works. It creates enough hydraulics to push. And before that, the prerequisite is managing your smear layer, removing your biofilm, cleaning all the portions of the canal. That is a fantastic cleaning, and disinfection is important. You have to clean the canal so that you can fill the anatomies. Now, suppose I wouldn't have cleaned these anatomies, it would never have filled. So that is very important. Now here also, we can see in this case, the coronal portion of the apical MTA plug and the coronal portion of the gutta perca was done with the backfill gun. Here we have done a down pack, but with a lot of caution, as because initially it was having a resorption there. So we have done controlled down pack here with this down pack device, and then we placed a composite, and this is a 6-month recall. You can see this is another case there. When C anatomy, we can see the ramifications getting filled in the apical region, and also the non-round portions, the fins or the extension of the canal getting filled there. So here I come to the end of my presentation. So you can contact me on Facebook. You can mail me at fdacademy@gmail.com. You can contact me on my Facebook page, the Microendodontic Training Academy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sourav. Okay, Dr. Sourav, please check the dentist question and ask them.
Should I close the screen?
Please see the comments and answer the question.
In the comment section, I cannot see any question. Yes. No, there are no questions actually.
Okay, show the next question.
Okay. How can we minimize post-endodontic pain? Okay. Post-endodontic pain, I think you are most probably talking about the flare-ups. So post-endodontic pain is more important that how you manage the shaping part when you are dealing. So when you are shaping, you have to see that you are not packing the debris down beyond the apex, one thing. Second thing is you have to manage your accumulated hard tissue debris and removal of the smear layer. So this is very important. So the best way to manage the smear layer is using a continuous chelation technique, where you use hypo and etidronic acid combined throughout your shaping phase. So it doesn't allow the smear layer to first accumulate. So that really brings down the post-operative pain. As you don't let the debris to pack in the canal, so they will not get pushed beyond when you are doing the instrumentation. Hope I have answered.
Okay, thank you. And the next question.
Okay. Does warm vertical causes root fracture? Warm vertical doesn't causes root fracture till then you follow the prescribed guidelines. That is the amount of force. Actually, warm vertical, whenever you are doing, suppose you are using the C-fill back down pack device, you doesn't need to like put much pressure there. You have to just activate the switch and hold it lightly so that it automatically sinks into the softened gutta perca. You don't have to force it. Unless and until you put undue force, that will not cause a fracture. First of all thing. Second thing is, this does happen when you are following cold lateral compaction techniques with the hand pluggers. So in hand pluggers, you are not aware of how much force you are placing, and that may really create fractures and cracks in the root in the apical portion of the root. So that does happen. But with the warm vertical technique, we doesn't have to put much force. So I don't think this should happen with the warm vertical technique. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sourav, this time. And hope future we will make another new speech again soon. And every time the webinar, we will have a lucky gift for the dentist who join our course. This time the gift is a COXO caries detector. It's very simple. It's very simple and effective. So let me choose a lucky person now. Okay, wait a minute, the internet is not good. Okay, congratulations. The lucky person get our caries detector. We will contact you soon. I also have added a link for the certificate on the comment. So if the dentist friend who joined the course need a certificate, please fill the phone information, then we will supply for you soon. The links need to free within 5 hours after the course. Thank you, the Dr. Housey. Thank you, the Dr. Sourav, and thank you, John, this time course of free public webinar. Next time, we will have the next new webinar. Hope to see you all again next week. Have a nice day. Goodbye, everyone.